And the top of a Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We're grateful to have you back on this Tuesday night. And, man, I tell you what, we're bringing all these old friends back with us this week. We've got the one and only Mike Simonelli from the Big Apple. And he has been a wonderful guest, wonderful friend, and grateful to have you on the show tonight, buddy. I tell you what, it's been a while, and got a lot to talk to you about New York and these latest riots, but also the world in general. And good to see Mike Simonelli back on the McFiles. How you been?
How you doing, Chris? Excellent. Thank you very much for having me again.
Now, I hate to use the word retirement, because when police officers retire, they don't retire. They just they sort of take a pause. And but you are doing some other things. You ran for school board, I understand. Is that right? Up in New York.
Sure
Tell us about that.
Well, I had no intention of doing it when I retired, but then our Long Island paper, there was an article how the Long Island LGBT Network, which is an activist organization whose the owner, their founder, has been on record at a school board meeting saying how we shouldn't even use the terms mother and father. He's that controversial. He put out a call that they were training candidates to run in 15 school board districts across Long Island. So they were targeting 15 specific districts, and mine was one of them. So I found hearing that, I contacted a few people. I put together a ticket, and because there was 3 spots open for the election, and we ran. I knocked on over 1,000 doors myself. We gave it everything we could, but we were up against the teachers union. And what the teachers union meant, even the trades unions came out. And like my brother, who is an iron worker, he got mail from his union. The police unions wouldn't step into it because they don't want to anger the teachers union. So we, even though my town is about 75% red, our town supervisor he won the last race with a 75% vote. He's going to win again in a few months, the same thing. Well, we have 44,000 registered voters. Only 4,000 came out and vote. So 40,000 people, which would be about 30-something thousand Republicans and conservatives, didn't even bother to come out and vote. And that's why we lost about 2,500 to these teachers union candidates and 1,500 votes to us.
Wow, man. Well, Mike, voter turnout, I think on our side has always been a real big problem. I hate to say it. I know that people blame a lot of things on these losses by Republican candidates, but a lot of time it comes down to just people not going to the polls.
Exactly.
And in your case, that's exactly what happened. It's sad because how many elections, you think about that dynamic, how many elections that the country could be so differently going, the direction it's going now could be so different if we would have just got out and voted for good people to change the course of events. And I'm not saying there's not malfeasance in these elections. I know these people want to cheat like hell, but I mean, when you get down to it, it's some of us too. Some of it's on the right. I mean, we can't just say it's all cheating. It's some apathy. I mean, that's really pathetic when you think about it.
The apathy is huge. And the crazy thing is, like, our town budget is, say, $140 million. The school budget is $295 million. It's 75% of people's property taxes. And when they're angry about how these children are growing up to be these college students who end up hating America, totally rebelling against them, looking at favorably on socialism and wondering what the hell happened. But what happened is you let them take over the schools. And by not voting in your own school boards, you're letting it continue.
Yeah, you really are, man. You really are. Well, listen, I hope you don't give up the fight. I think that you're a good man, and I've always enjoyed talking to you, and I remember, the interviews we've done in the past. You just bring such a fresh perspective, and
Thanks,
we're
Chris.
always grateful for your insight. I know that the New York situation is very volatile right now. Your governor was in front of Congress here earlier this week, basically trying to defend rapists, murderers, pedophiles, child traffickers, fentanyl users, illegal aliens, basically all in the same breath, and trying to sort of hide behind the fact that she is so brokenhearted about all these deaths. And look, the videos are riveting. I think these governors, along with her and Waltz and Pfizer, they need to be in jail. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, look, when you are actively working against the rule of law in a state, and you're as an official, you are culpable in all these deaths. And she just stood there with this glassy stare, and almost at times, it almost looked like she was smirking. And that just is so repugnant and offensive to me. But I'm just curious how you feel about that as a fellow New Yorker, and where are these riots at? How was the No Kings protest up in New York this weekend? I know a lot of events got canceled because of the weather. I heard it was a big dud in most of the country.
It's pretty disgraceful how our political leaders, how they're failing us. Their number one responsibility is public safety, and clearly, as you saw from Governor Hochul in Congress, she's failing at that. Letting illegal aliens in, not assisting law enforcement, actually working against law enforcement. And that she's just following the ilk of Governor Cuomo. He's the one, I think it was 2019, he made it legal for illegal aliens to get driver's license, New York driver's license. So it just blows my mind, because as a cop, that was one of the easiest ways to get them off the road, and then to contact ICE and try to get them picked up and taken out of here. He also started this whole the releasing of cop killers, which is continuing under her, because her appointees to the parole board are far left radicals. There's been 43 cop killers released since, I think, 2017, when Governor Cuomo changed the rules on what the parole boards are looking for. But as for the No Kings protest this week, I was looking at the website of the No Kings, where they were given training and everything.
Yeah.
There were 6 protest sites in just Suffolk County. But in Brooklyn, and I was looking at it because that's where I'm from, there was only one in Prospect Park. In all of Brooklyn, only one. But here in Lily White, Long Island, where they criticize, what it is? It's radical white liberals on the scourge of our society.
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I'll agree with you. And, we had them down south, and they were, I don't think any movement, except for the big cities of L.A., I think there was a pretty huge turnout there, but that's liberal Hollywood. And, there was a few bigger events. But, for the most part, what I'm reading, a lot of it was just a dud. And Mike, it was no cohesive message. It was just a bunch of crazy liberals and every fringe movement in America got together and was able to hold a sign up. And look, I don't mean this unkindly, but the level of intelligence in these people has a lot to be desired, and it makes me. I do wonder sometimes if some people on meth. I don't mean that to be funny, but I swear, man, some of this stuff they say. I think it was who was it? Michael Savage that once said liberalism's a mental disorder.
Right.
Well, I think any ism's a mental disorder, but some of this liberal stuff that they're talking about. You mentioned the school board and some of the things those people were pushing that they can't even. Say mother or father. I mean, Mike, that's just insane, isn't it? Is that not a common sense person? Mike, I got a 6-year-old grandson that he understands that there's a mother and a father figure. He understands his mother's a woman, his daddy's a man. He understands that. And if a 6-year-old can understand that, how come these people that are supposedly so smart can't?
Because we're letting the 0.1%, not even 1%, 0.1% of the population rule the roost, because politicians don't have the courage to stand up against facts and common sense.
Come on, Mike.
Think about it. Look at everything you see in sports. How is it that it has gotten to the level where men are winning state championships against females and taking their spots, taking their scholarships, taking their chances at college? It's just insane. And going into the bathroom with them, in the showers, masturbating, and still they tell the women, well, then you can go use a different bathroom.
No, I'm with you, man. It's disgusting. It is. And I tell you something else. I saw the video last night, and it really. I'm a baseball fan, and I love baseball. But it is disgusting what the Citi Field people did last night, or not. I think it was Monday. Well, it was Monday night, or over the weekend maybe. But when the national anthem was being played, they had the pride flag on the screen, not the American flag.
Yeah, absolutely disgraceful.
And Mike, that kind of stuff is going to drive MLB and the NFL. And all this woke stuff has almost bankrupted the NBA. People don't watch the NBA. The NBA is, they're losing money left and right, and people just don't watch it because they can't stomach this woke stuff. They can't stomach these coaches running their mouth. They're just tired of people like LeBron James and this absolute wokeness. And I think baseball is headed down the same path. And if Major League Baseball is not careful. Look, let's just talk straight. I'm not being discriminatory here, but I will tell you this. 98% of the audience of a Major League Baseball game is not the LGBTQ community. It's not. And to be frank with you, illegals are not going to baseball games. And when this girl at Dodger Stadium Monday night Sunday night sang the national anthem in Spanish, basically blaspheming America, the Dodgers thought that was cool. And it's not cool. And they're going to lose. They're going to lose 98% of their people. And look, the reason that these ball players can make the money they make is because of me and you paying their salaries with our ticket prices and buying tickets. They're going to keep doing this, Mike. They're going to go bankrupt. Are they not?
You know what, Chris? I played ball. I was in Little League World Series. I played semi-pro in Italy. Baseball is a boring sport to play. So to watch, even more so. So I hope they go out of business.
Well, at least you're honest, Mike. That's at least that's an honest answer, man. That's refreshing. That's refreshing coming from people. It's an honest answer, and I like it.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. And it's like women's basketball. You never even heard of women's basketball until Caitlin Clark.
That's right.
And look how she has been attacked. And there's no way you could tell me it hasn't been racist, because I think it was Brittany Griner. They have her. Yeah, saying damn white girls. Like, the only two things you heard about the women's NBA was Brittany Griner being in Russia and us trading the biggest arms dealer in the world to get her back, and then Caitlin Clark, who's then getting abused because of the color of her skin, which is disgusting.
It is disgusting. Mike, let me ask you this. I want to talk about your mayoral race. There is a troubling field in the Democrat side. Man, I tell you what, I'm not from New York, but you know, like New York's biggest city in America, and what happens in New York really does affect the country a lot, because it is one of the bigger cities, metropolises, even more so than LA, I believe. But you've got some really left-wing fascist communist losers, man. And this Muslim guy, you told me today, has got a good chance of winning. Tell us a little bit about the field up there, because this guy's scary. And even the guy that got arrested yesterday for trying to fight with the ICE, they're a bunch of loser fascists. But man, these people are on the verge of having the highest office in America, other than the presidency.
Right. Yeah. No, this guy is a legitimate shot. And even if he doesn't win the primary, we're talking about Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. He is a legit socialist, endorsed by Socialist AOC and Bernie Sanders, no surprise. He is and he's also pro-Palestine, of course, anti-Israel. He's calling for free childcare, free public busing, a $30 minimum wage. I'm going to come out of retirement, get a job in the city, and city-owned grocery stores.
I'm coming up there with you, man. I'm coming up there with you.
Yeah. So that's what he's calling for. And even if he doesn't win the primary against Cuomo, who is leading, I think, by 13 points right now, he's still going to be endorsed by the Working Families Party. So he'll still be on the ticket. And Cuomo is a guy who 11 women had credible threats against him of sexual harassment, credible enough that the state's attorney general, Letitia James, had open cases on him. Those cases disappeared. He faced no prosecution once he resigned, because that's how it works with Democrats. I wish I was a Democrat. And here's the thing: either those were not credible threats and he didn't do anything wrong and he just caved to the pressure, which means he's a coward, or he's a sexual abuser, sexual harasser, womanizer, who also was lying about the statistics on nursing home deaths, as he was forcing the nursing homes to take COVID patients into them, and I think he is currently under investigation by the Department of Justice over that. So those are your top two candidates. Then you have Brad Landers, who got arrested yesterday because he's probably trying to raise his numbers up, because I think he was only polling at 9%.
Yeah, I'm with you. And do you is it your opinion that these stunts like this, it's just like the New York mayor doing what he did? It's like the Letitia McIver doing what she did. Are these politicians that daft, or are they so desperate to get on television that they're willing to break the law? Because I'm with you, Landers. I mean, what did he accomplish other than getting a few minutes on YouTube and a few minutes on X yesterday showing his butt? And the only thing I will give him is that he didn't cry like a whiny baby like Alex Padilla did, who got on the House floor today and whined like a little you-know-what, and I won't use the word I want to use, but he whined like a little girl when he went at Kristi Noem, who we got news about her later tonight. But But what is your opinion as a New Yorker of these kind of people like that? I mean, I got a lot of friends in New York. You're one of them. We Southerners admire you New Yorkers because y'all are just like us. Y'all are just common sense. No frills. Y'all just see things, the world a little differently than most,
right,
because y'all just see through the what, and we do too down south.
Right.
But how does New Yorkers look at this bunch on the left? I mean, most people in New York, at least.
They're complete narcissist clowns that are clamoring for attention, and it's working because look, before Padilla pulled that stunt, I didn't even know who the other senator in California was.
I didn't either.
No,
that's a great point.
I'm still going to forget his name tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Brad Lander, I mean, I knew his name just because I'm a New Yorker, but he's a zero. I mean, if he was walking down a dark alley and somebody was coming the other way, he crossed to the other side. So here he is acting like a tough guy because he knows it's federal agents, and he's going to get some good press, and he's going to campaign off of it, as I know Padilla already has.
So true, buddy. Mike, let me ask you this, and we'll follow the mayor's race. Who do you think's the hands-on favorite? Cuomo's going to win this thing, you think, on the Democrat side?
I do, just because he's got the war chest and he's got the big name support. But it's going to be real close because New York is so full of just young radicals, and they're the ones who come out and vote. Like, I think there's 8.5 million people in New York, roughly. 4.5 million active voters. That last last mayoral race, but de Blasio won with only 9% of the votes, 750,000 votes. Like only 1,000 people, a million people voted, and he got 750,000 votes. So those people, they come out and vote. So that Mamdani guy has a legit shot. And then you have Eric Adams, who's also going to run as either an independent or he's made his own party as well. It's just a complete crap show.
What's your opinion of Adams?
I've never been a fan. I know as a New York City cop, which is how he made his name and rose up through the ranks. Look, he was a great test taker, but he formed the 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. He was always about race. As far as arrests go, how do you have a full career in NYPD and make less than 10 arrests? Less than 10.
That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't a real cop. He was always a politician who used the police department to elevate himself.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What have you taken away from is this support for Trump real, or is it superficial just to get votes from the right? Or do you think that he truly is concerned about the illegal alien situation in New York?
I think he saw the writing on the wall with the New Yorkers angry over the amount of money the illegals were costing, being in the Roosevelt Hotel, all these hotels in New York. And sort of there was no way he was going to be able to sustain that. And he made a smart move and sided with the federal government and, following the law. And I think he's legit concerned once he went against Democrats about the allegations that they raised against him. So he wanted Trump's, protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, politically, he's very smart. Good character? Absolutely not.
I got you.
But
no, I'm
we're
with
talking
you.
about a politician.
That's a politician, man. That's how these politicians work, and that don't surprise me. It don't surprise me that he would be like that. Now, let me ask you this: if it comes down to Adams and Cuomo, how do you see that playing out?
Man, that's a tough one. I actually would have to hope for Adams.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're better off to stay with what you got than Cuomo. I can't believe the New Yorkers would be entertaining him seriously with the number of people he killed during COVID. I mean, I'm serious. He should be in jail, man. I mean, forget the women thing. I mean, look, the women thing's bad, but I'm talking about those nursing home deaths and what he did to condemn people to death in those nursing homes. Mario Cuomo should be in jail. Or Andrew Cuomo, not Mario.
Right.
Yeah, not Mario, but Andrew should be in jail. Yeah. And, his brother is another comedian that's out there running this trap, acting like a conservative now on a podcast, and he is as liberal left as they can come. And he gets, he's getting all these rave reviews, and I've even jokingly said, I don't know what's going on with me. I agree with some of the things he says, and I have to shake my head for a minute and say, well, he's just running this trap to get points and get a podcast rating. But I can't believe New York would even consider Cuomo. Seriously, I can't even believe they'd even consider him.
I'm with you, because he's the reason behind the bail reform that we had, with getting rid of bail. He has raised the age where the gangs now are using youngsters to commit the crimes because they won't be charged. They end up going to family court for most things. And that's greatly increased the number of Black and Hispanic youths that have been killed since then. So his policies have led to the deaths of New Yorkers, and he's got a legit shot at becoming the mayor.
Yeah.
And then whoever's in charge of New York sets the tone, really, of New York City for the state.
And Mike, they set the tone for the country. I mean, look what influence de Blasio had, and Michael Bloomberg, and look, Rudy Giuliani. I mean, I'll even go to the right. I mean, look, when Rudy Giuliani was mayor during 9/11, there was inspiration that the country drew from Rudy Giuliani. So this mayor's role in New York is huge. I mean, people may not understand it in other parts of the country, but I think that we need to realize that this is something we need to keep an eye on, because, look, God forbid this Muslim get in. I'm telling you, man, that's a dangerous man. Listening to him speak, I have to ask. I'm not from there. I don't live there. But I have to ask, if I had the New Yorker's ear, I would say, what in the you-know-what are you doing entertaining this anti-Semitic, hate-filled, fascist Muslim? I mean, seriously.
Well, if he does win, I could only say, then, you know what? Let New Yorkers get what they deserve. Now, it won't happen out here in the suburbs, but, if New York City burns from within because of who they elect, just like you see in certain parts of Europe, how these cities with no-go zones, crime rampant, police aren't even allowed in. If New York City is going to go that way and elect somebody like this, they get what they deserve.
Mike, I'm going to change course on you, and I thank you for your insight on the mayor's race. That's an interesting take, and I'm with you 1,000,000%. I do want to ask you, as a former police officer, what your opinion is of how President Trump has handled the ICE situation. Look, I give him an A+. I think that he's doing exactly what he should do to get these illegals out. He's not getting any help from these local police departments. I think that the rank and file, are with him, but these bureaucrats are not. Hochul's not. Newsom's not. Karen Bass in LA's not. I'm just curious, and we'll bring Adams back into this conversation. Scale of 1 to 10, how has he helped or hurt Trump in this deportation issue in New York? I know there's a lot of riots and there's a lot of unrest, and Trump is really clamping down, and I think he should. I don't think he's got any choice. This is what he campaigned on, but beyond campaigning on it, Mike, you got to have law and order, brother. You're a police officer, and what people don't understand, when we don't have law and order, the people that we basically entrust to keep law and order, their lives become endangered. And these kind of policies don't just hurt Americans, but they hurt police officers, that you all put your lives on the line, because these are some of the most dangerous of people. Not all of them, but regardless of them being on the level of danger, they're still here illegally. And you still have a job to do. And I don't understand. I don't think the country understands that. I know the left don't, but there's many on the right that don't. And we need to realize that ICE is just doing their job. And I'm just curious, from a police standpoint, from your standpoint, Mike Simonelli, how do you rate President Trump's efforts to get these illegals out of the country?
I'm giving him a 10 out of 10. It's my most favorite thing that I see him doing and standing by. And look, Governor Hochul activated the National Guard to patrol New York City subways and search people's bags because crime got so out of control with their criminal justice reforms. So you want to talk about search and seizure and, federalizing the police. She had them searching New Yorkers, citizens. Here is the president using his authority to activate the National Guard because the local authorities are not being allowed to by the governor. Now, if the governor is going to fail in his responsibility to provide public safety and law and order, then it's on the president to do it. And I say God bless him for it. We heard all about the Maryland man, that guy who was actually a gang-banging MS-13 wife abuser and human trafficker. But let me ask you this. You can poll your audience. How many people heard of Ava Moore? Have you heard of Ava Moore?
No.
And I bet most of your audience hasn't either. Well, on Memorial Day weekend, Ava Moore was killed by an illegal alien female from Venezuela who came in the country during Biden and was released. Well, Ava Moore was an Air Force Academy prep school graduate and was entering the Air Force Academy just within weeks. I'm an Air Force Academy grad. Look, somehow I snuck in, but let me tell you, those are the best and brightest of our country.
My brothers.
Ava Moore was the best and brightest we have, and she was killed because of an illegal alien. Now, they don't all have to be gang-banging criminals. The fact that they're here and they could make mistakes, they could do bad things, our people are getting killed. So either they come here legally, go through the process, and then they become Americans, and then, God bless them. But no, Trump's doing the right thing. We have over 10 million people illegally, not to mention the drain that it is on our schools, on our roads, on our public safety, our hospitals. You name it, we're paying for it as citizens.
Yes, we are. But do you, as a police officer, believe these illegals have due process? I don't.
No. Their due process, they broke due process when they came in illegally. Just because they get over the border, they're not entitled to the full rights of due process of an American citizen. If we gave them the due process, everybody getting a trial in court, it would take years to get them out at incredible expense to us, because in the meantime, we'd be footing the bill. So no, I do not believe that was ever the intent of the founders to give them the same due process as American citizens.
Why do you think these Dems are so bent on defending these people? I've never seen a party in my life defend lawlessness and defend these people, Mike, like they do. And some of the things they do, like Van Hollen going down there and having margaritas with this gangbanger, right, Cabrera, and now he's been charged with human trafficking. And Van Hollen, instead of apologizing to the American people, he gets on television the last few weeks and says, I'm proud of the fact that I defended his due process. Mike, he has no due process. You nailed it, brother. Look, the way I look at it, the Constitution don't promise any protection under its umbrella for non-citizens. Does it not?
No. It's simple. We see it. Van Hollen has no shame. That's the thing. You got to give Dems credit. They stick to, the bullcrap they're fighting for. They stick to it. They have no shame about it. And so it's going to continue. I do believe one thing is they have all these illegals come into the cities, and they actually let them vote in certain areas in local elections, but they count them in the census, which gives them a greater number of Democrat congressmen and women. Yeah. So that's a very helpful point for them.
Yes, it is. I got to ask you this, and I know that out in the country she's looked upon as a loon. I got a dear friend in Australia that told me back, obviously we've done this show, started in 2018. It was 2019. He was on a show one night, and he told me publicly, and he told me privately, he said, you keep your eye on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And at that time, she was just a bartender and a novelty, and she was doing Instagram videos, cooking, and getting the kids all riled up and excited about her. Now she is now in Congress, a full-fledged member of Congress. Yeah. And Mike, there is rumblings that she is going to actually possibly be on that ticket in 2028 as the Democrat nominee. Now, my question to you is this. We out here in the real world of America, we look at her and we shake our head and we don't understand how New Yorkers could put her in office. But I want you to help us understand this tonight. What was her appeal? Is it the districting, the way it's the district that's district, or is New Yorkers that enamored with a bartender running their government and making their choices for them in Congress? Is that a New York thing, or is that just something that was a novelty? What's her appeal to get her in this place that she's on the brink of becoming? He told me, he warned me back in 2019. He said, you're laughing about her tonight. He said, America's laughing at her. And he said, I'm telling you, she is going to be running for president before this is over with. And Mike, that's been what is this, 25? That's been 7 years ago, and his prediction is coming true.
Oh, I 100% agree. The writing has always been on the wall. Her aspirations were not going to stop at Congress. As far as how she got there, I think her district was unhappy with I think there had been a long-term Dem in there that wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And if I'm correct, it was a white person. And so she used the race, and she did knock on a lot of doors from what I understand, but she used her youth, the femininity, the social media. And look, let's be honest. A lot of this is just a popularity contest.
Popularity contest. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think she looks like a donkey, but other people say she's attractive. And so, she would maximize use of her body, and people watch her stuff, which it kind of blows my mind. But that's how America has been dumbed down.
This is why we love you, Mike Simonelli. You're a New Yorker, man. You just tell it like it is. You look like a donkey. I mean, that's why we adore Mike Simonelli. Hey, but I do want to ask you: do you think she's got what it takes to take Chuck Schumer out? Because that's the big dog. Chuck's been up there as long as Methuselah, man. I mean, good Lord, him and Nancy Pelosi need wheelchairs almost. But do you think in New York's even wildest hallucination, drug-induced meth state, would they even consider putting her in the Senate?
Yeah, I think Chuck is losing his luster, and I hate to say it, like, he nominated me to get into the academy.
Chuck did.
He did. He was my congressman back in Brooklyn, but he's lost a step or two, just like Biden has, and I see her having the ability to take him out.
Let me ask you this, and that's an interesting take. What do you is the way that those districts are drawn that is there any Republican that has not had the gas to come up against her and beat her? Or is it just the way the district is drawn, or why does the Republicans seem helpless against her when they run against her?
It is a heavily Democrat district. There was a female, I think a fitness personality, who ran against her, and she gave it everything she could, but there was just no way getting around the demographic. And I remember seeing stuff in the news, because now her district is turned into like the Avenue of Sweethearts. All these brothels are there, right in plain sight, in open view during the daytime. And the people who said they helped her get elected, they supported her, now she won't even return their phone calls, and they're very upset. These were Latino people, and they're pissed off. Is that going to change anything? I doubt it.
Yeah, that's interesting, though. That's an interesting dynamic. Well, I tell you what, I know that most people consider her a loony, and I think that we make a mistake on the right making fun of her, because I'm telling you, there's an appeal out there with the young people. It may not be enough to carry her to the presidency, but it would not shock me if she's not on that ticket here in about 4 years. And I would caution people to be very aware that this is a possibility. And, who knows where the country will be, Mike. I mean, look, we got President Trump for 4 years, the Lord willing. I mean, God forbid, the man's been under attack and everything else. But we don't know what the mood of the country will be in 2028. I mean, it's like an impossibility to see. And and I know politics, man, is a week is an eternity in politics. So you just pretty much have to see what's going on. Listen, a few more minutes. So grateful to have you tonight. I know you have got you giving us your time tonight, and I don't want to keep you too long.
No,
I do want to
pleasure.
ask you about Israel and the situation there with Iran. What is Mike Simonelli's take on the attack? And I know that there is a big Jewish population in New York City, and I know there is a lot of people that are concerned tonight about their families back in Israel and the Middle East in general. But my question to you is the U.S. Are you on board with President Trump? Because I believe that, look, Mike, nobody wants war. Nobody wants to get us bogged down in a war. But
Agreed.
Eventually Iran is going to mess up, and they're going to do something. And to me, they've already done enough to provoke a war. They look holding our soldiers hostage in the Obama years. The stuff they've done subtly, the exporting of terror,
the terror proxies, of course.
The proxies themselves, and God knows how many Iranian proxies are in this country tonight.
Right.
Look, I think that's an act of war in itself. But do you believe that we are going to get drawn into this if they attack? I keep asking the question, and I get an overwhelming response. We don't need to get involved. But I should put a caveat on that. If Iran attacks America and their proxies or any, like a base, a military base, would you then feel the same way? And then the other question I got is there any scenario where we can stay out of this conflict and keep them from getting that bomb?
Well, I think if we let Israel continue doing what they're doing, and I hats off to Israel for waging war the way you're supposed to. That is to find the enemy, close with the enemy, destroy the enemy. It's none of this nation building crap. It's not trying to negotiate these truces that lets them give time to rebuild their forces. They are taking out strategic targets, taking out the leadership. They're doing it the way they should. And with very minimal civilian casualties as compared to, you see, Iran is just launching missiles into population areas in the capital of Israel. So as far as us being attacked, look, Iran is an existential threat to Israel, clearly, and America. If they ever got the nuke, it's not just Israel they want to wipe off the face of the earth. It's us too. We are the devil to them. We are the big devil, and they would want to kill us. So either we let Israel take care of it now, or we'll continue dealing with these attacks on our servicemen and women, on our populace with terrorist attacks, and eventually they're going to get the nuke that they've been trying to get with the assistance, I think, from Russia and China. And then what are we going to do? Then we're going to be beholden to them the same way we are with Russia in Ukraine, because they have the threat of nukes. But the difference is Russia is somewhat rational, whereas they're Islamic fanatics.
That's
they
exactly
don't care
right.
about life and death. They want to be killed and go to Allah and get their virgins. So you're gonna get a nuclear bomb in America, targeting America, if Iran ever gets that capability. So I say wipe them out, take the leadership out. Don't do the nation building, because we've seen that we can't do it. It's a losing proposition. Let them try to get leaders from the inside, and if they fail, then we take them out. We keep taking them out until they find the good people that want peace and stability.
What do you think about this anti-Semitism that is so raging in the country? And a lot of it's coming from social media giants. And I call them giants. They're nothing but attention hoes, and just, I hate to use that word, but it's just the truth. It's like they do stuff to get attention, and I find it very disgusting, my friend. I do. Look, I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and we believe in Israel's right to exist as a nation, but we also abhor any kind of hatred on any level toward any race. But this anti-Semitism to the Jews, Mike, it seems like it drives people to come up with some of the craziest theories and the craziest things. And Israel's literally getting blamed tonight in some circles for provoking this thing with Iran and provoking October the 7th, man. In all my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. And I tell you, these riots that are going on in the country, a lot of it's rooted in anti-Semitism. When you get down to it, it's rooted in people that hate the Jews because they're using these platforms to say just that. And they use a few ugly words behind it.
It confounds me. Listen, I think Israel is like the police officer of the world. No matter what they do, they're going to get blamed for self-defense. So they have to act in self-defense, and then they get blamed for what they do in self-defense. It's just like the cops. They'll never be able to win in the arena of public opinion. So they just got to do what the right thing is to do. And I'm sure they'll sleep well at night when they do that, just as us cops do when, we use force or don't use force based upon the threat that we're facing.
Has the morale of the police increased since Trump got elected? Has it come back up? I know it's pretty low. It had to be pretty low under Biden, but is the morale slowly coming back?
Yes and no. Yes, and that it is great to have the support of the President of the United States. It's a huge platform. But ultimately, as a cop, it comes down to your local politicians, your local leadership. Because if you have a Soros-backed DA, for instance, like they do in Austin, those cops' lives have not changed for the better with Trump, because they still have a Soros-backed DA targeting them. In New York, we have Letitia James, who wouldn't hesitate to go after the cops if if there's any way she can turn it that they did something wrong. So, it's great that the president is backing us. And that, that part improves morale because you feel good about what you're doing. He appreciates law enforcement and wants you to be able to do your job to protect the good people from the bad people, which is really all it's about. Just protecting good people from bad people.
In all your time, and I'll wrap it up after this. Folks, if you got a quick question, we'll keep Mike on about 5 more minutes, but make your questions quick and on topic tonight. We'll ask him a few questions from the audience. But Mike, in all your time on the force, which has been a long time, have you ever seen the cities, the suburban cities, be as dangerous as they are right now? And are you concerned this stuff gets into the rural areas? Because you're seeing a lot more and more crime and brutality going into the rural areas. And I'm not even talking right now about the illegal crime. I'm just talking about our cities in general. They have become literal hubs for rape, murder, abuse, pedophilia, trafficking, drugs. We have literally become a crime haven in America because when you let the rule of law down, brother, you got lawlessness, man. And the police, look, people can say what they want to, and I think you nailed something a while ago, just a second ago. The police are in a no-win. And, I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback. I'd never do that. But I know this much about police officers. The decision to use force sometimes is seconds, that they have to decide whether their life is in danger or whether they have to take out a criminal. And I've seen these videos, and some of these people are so belligerent and screaming at them, don't touch me, I'm going to sue you, and don't do this to me, and why have you pulled me over? And they argue, and the cops have to literally manhandle these people. It's dangerous. They show up at these domestic calls and get their heads blowed off over an argument. They kiss their wife goodbye in the morning and their children. And many of these police officers, Mike, don't come back, man. And I don't think we respect that in America, and we better get back to respecting law because this is the only thing that stands between us and total lawlessness and anarchy and chaos where we won't be able to go to our mailboxes at night without getting robbed, and worse, perhaps, even in the rural areas. Correct?
No, 100%. If people are willing to attack police officers or fight with us, not listen to us, then what do you think, how they're going to react to a normal citizen who it doesn't have a gun clearly visible on their waist and the legal authority to arrest them? And a big problem is Democrats, they get off on this whole thing of going against authority when it's the opposite, when it's Republicans or when it's law enforcement. So you see these examples we talked about tonight where Brad Lander is actively resisting with the federal agents. He's holding on to an illegal that they're trying to take away and process. And then you see he gets a little elbowy, just like that woman did in Jersey.
In Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, so these are our elected officials. So they're glorifying this, and they know it's going to go crazy on social media. Good for them. They're going to get publicity. They're going to get fundraising. But their constituents and the people downline, they see that like, oh, well, that's a congressperson. That's a senator. That's a candidate for mayor. If they could do it, then it must be okay for me because I'm fighting for democracy. I'm fighting against tyranny. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And the policemen we're the symbol of that tyranny at the local level. I want to reference you and your audience to Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey. If you haven't heard, he gave a press conference about these protests and riots, more accurately. And here's what he told the protesters. And if every sheriff, every police commissioner, every mayor will put this out, you'd have a lot less rioting and a whole lot more peaceful protesting. He said, if you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and then jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and then jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. And if you throw a brick, firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. That's the way you do it.
You got to, Mike. I know it seems harsh to some people, but if we don't start doing that, we're gonna lose this country. And Pat and Deb Dolan's asking how close we are to anarchy. I would say we're on the brink, and it's not just in one state; it's across the board. There's no state of the union that's not been touched by this lawlessness. And and again, the illegals have definitely contributed to it. But we got to realize that it's not just the illegals. America was crime-ridden long before this illegal alien. That just exasperated it.
Exactly.
And look, I'm concerned tonight as we talk about it. It goes back to the Israel-Iran thing. Look, you sort of alluded to it a while ago. These proxies that are in this country, God knows what they're up to. And look, let's just be frank with each other. And I'll ask a question myself of you. Do you think the police force in America tonight, in most cities, would be equipped to handle a terrorist attack on the scale of October the 7th? If that happened, like if something like in October the 7th happened in America, would the police force of this country be equipped to handle it? And, ultimately the military would have to be called in, certainly, but can the police handle something like that right now?
Sadly, I would say no. Like, they don't even have the weaponry, I would say, to handle that kind of attack from foreign terrorists. If they all had, say, AR-15s, M4s, AK-47s, the good thing is you have a whole lot of armed Americans that I believe will be stepping in and helping them out.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Man, you've been great tonight. Listen, I'm going to, since you're doing nothing but doing crocheting and going to the beach every day and drinking toddies and watching baseball games and soap operas on television in retirement, I'm gonna hire you as my go-to guy about law enforcement issues. So you'll start being on the McFiles at least once a month and keep your juices flowing. You're one of my heroes up there, buddy. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person soon.
You, Chris.
I want to thank you for being with me. Hey, I want to take 2 or 3 minutes. Final words. Tell everybody what your thoughts are about the country, and then we'll wrap this up tonight. It's been so good to have you tonight, man. You've done a great job. Absolutely great.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you very much. It's nights like this where I feel better about the country because you are out pushing the word. You have your big audience that they know what's at stake here, and they know who we're against and what we're fighting for. Because as we were talking about with our voters, they just don't seem to come out for the local ones. For the big ones, they came out for Trump, obviously, but we need to be more active more often. And it kind of sucks because I don't think that's our nature. Like, Democrats have ruined baseball because they bring politics into everything. And that's not how we are. We don't want to be bothered by politics and everything. But until we can meet them, fury for fury, we're going to keep losing.
I know, buddy. I'm with you 1,000,000%. Jenny Caslanova says that the New York voter is not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
I agree.
I'm not gonna. I've heard that one before, but I have to. That's coming from a New Yorker. She's from New York, so
there you go.
That's not even coming from a Southerner, man. That's coming from up there. Hey, buddy, we appreciate you. God bless you, friend. I'll talk to you soon, Mike. And we'll get you back on soon, buddy. Bless you.
God bless. Take care, buddy.
You too, man. Bye-bye. Mike Simonelli, everybody. That is one of the good guys, and we are we are grateful for Mike's friendship, and it's such a good. I'm so grateful he was able to come on tonight. We were trying to get Gadon and just couldn't get it worked out, but we've got a lot going on across the country tonight. I'm going to take a few minutes. We'll just play a couple of videos for you. There is breaking news tonight, and we don't have all the details yet, but we do know that Kristi Noem, our Department of Homeland Security head, has been rushed to the hospital this evening. I think it was an allergic reaction from what we understand. So our prayers for Ms. Noem. The left is actually mocking tonight Ellen Barkin, this useless actress, washed-up actress from the 80s, has been out there posting almost mockery. It's amazing to me that when people on the right have problems and they get like put in hospitals or they have heart attacks or they have some kind of health crisis, the ugliness and the vileness of the tenor of the left it's unreal. I can't even put it into words. I can't even put it into words. And it is absolutely pathetic. And we thank you for all being here tonight. But our prayers for Miss Noem tonight, Kristi. She's a good lady. She's doing a good job. I don't know if you've heard about this. We're going to be talking about this Thursday night. And I really didn't have a chance to talk with Mike about it. Mike was more, I wanted Mike to come on and talk about the New York situation with the riots and the law enforcement situation in our country tonight. But we're going to be getting, we'll get James Akers on Thursday night. Magdalene maybe be with us too. This is a story, we talked about this on the radio program today, and this is a bubbling story that is going to be in the news for a while, and you need to be aware of it. This is John Solomon's group, Just the News, talking about Kash Patel's revelation today in front of Congress, and he's given Chuck Grassley the documents that the Chinese were shipping fake driver's license by the box loads here to America in 2020 for people to be able to use fake mail-in ballots. Now, this network, and I know several others, got censored. We got put on probation. Some lost their channels. I lost my Twitter channel over this. Whenever we would say we'd get a 2-week suspension on YouTube, and we lost a network or two. We've lost two. I think we lost 3 channels overall: 1 faith network and 2 regular news channels. And us maintaining the number of people we do has been a miracle. But the thing about it is that we told people that this thing in 2020 was fishy. The whole election was fishy, and it was probably stolen in many ways. Well, guess what? We're being proven right tonight. And if this story is proven right, and nobody goes to jail for it, when I just say, let's just throw the justice book out the door because there's no justice. This needs to be dealt with. I don't know whether it's going to be. Maybe Patel giving it to Grassley will help. I don't have any faith in the Congress. I've got more faith. What's an analogy? I don't have an analogy. The one I want to use, I can't use. But let's just say that I don't have any faith in Congress. I don't have any faith in Congress. Roll the tape.
I'm shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me.
Yeah,
when this story first broke, I thought that there must be some details about it that are more speculative than you can rely on. But the more I read the piece that you published and saw what Kash submitted to Chuck Grassley, there are several levels of this that are concerning almost beyond belief. So obviously the first family itself was taking millions of dollars from China. The Biden first family through Hunter Biden and China CEFC Energy, China CEFC Energy was taking $5 to $10 million in consulting fees from Chinese energy firms as Hunter Biden was flying on Air Force One to China with Vice President Biden in order to secure those deals. Biden's CIA director, Bill Burns, took millions of dollars from China when he was the head of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace for 7 years before becoming CIA director, taking CCP members and putting them on Carnegie's board, as well as forming a joint Carnegie-China center so that they could cooperate more closely. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was the managing director of the Penn Biden Center, which took millions of dollars from China. So all the way up and down the entire foreign policy establishment of the Biden administration, from the White House to the CIA to the State Department, you had millions of dollars being juiced by the Chinese government the entire time. And then the more you think about this story, the more shocking it gets when you think about the massive, biggest election censorship event in human history, which was DHS-CISA's censorship of the 2020 election, specifically to stop election misinformation, which was all run out of a group that Chris Krebs formed called the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, which you would think would have been the exact task force at DHS set up to stop something like this and set up to be responsive to something like this, when in fact it did the exact opposite. They told us there was no foreign interference. Now, how does the FBI know this, and the CIA know this, and the DHS task force, who is responsible for stopping the domestic side of this operation, not be informed? How is it possible that this intelligence was circulated at the FBI and CIA levels, but not at the DHS level? And so that is an immediate question for Chris Krebs and Alex Stamos
Well, we can actually answer the question for you, Mike, too. The document I saw, I actually saw the document and got some of the quotes from it. It was circulated to the Department of Homeland Security in addition to the CIA. So they were, now it doesn't say CISA, it does say DHS though, so at least the senior component got it. And when it was called back, they asked all those agencies to destroy it. So it was sent out to Homeland.
Now get this. The DHS censorship operation run out of CISA, together with EIP, this 4-group consortium of 120 individual censors monitoring the entire internet across 15 different platforms to censor pro-Trump tweets or anyone who cast doubt on the integrity of the 2020 election.
And let me tell you where he's going with this. They did censor people. They did take networks down. They did dismantle accounts. They censored, and he's telling you that it was Christopher Wray was the FBI head at the time. They got this information that the Chinese, and this interview is sort of, they're talking about the post story. I'm going to show you the story right now, and then I'm going to come back and play the last minute of this, because this will make what you're hearing will make more sense when I show you this story. This is in our Telegram room already tonight, but this is what Kash Patel delivered to Chuck Grassley today. Now, whether Chuck Grassley does anything with this or not, I don't know. But he basically handed Congress today an intelligence report, actually it was yesterday, that raised concerns that China mass-produced fraudulent American driver's license for fake mail-in ballots during the 2020 elections, according to a report. Just the News, that's the group you're just listening to tonight, reported that Patel handed the information over to Judiciary Committee Chairman Grassley, who had raised concerns to the FBI that the intelligence had not been fully vetted, even though he believed there was evidence of fake licenses. And basically, Grassley said that to the end, we've located documents. Patel said Grassley requested, which detail alarming allegations relating to the 2020 election. Specifically, these include allegations of plans for the CCP to manufacture fake driver's license and ship them into the United States for the purpose of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots. Allegations which, while substantiated, were abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public. And the reports go on to say from August 2020, they were not fully investigated, nor were they corroborated, but at the time the report was written, then FBI Director Christopher Wray said, quote, there was no known plots of foreign adversaries to interfere in the 2020 elections. And what makes that so hypocritical, is that they screamed and impeached for 4 years Trump over Russia hoax collusion, that Russia interfered in 2016. Comey had Hillary cold-blooded with this email server, went prosecutor. And then, through a series of events, the feckless, foolish, brainless Jeff Sessions comes in and turns over this fake faux pas investigation to Robert Mueller. And it literally turns into a circus and puts this country through hell over nothing but fake allegations. False. Nothing true about it. None of it. And they wouldn't stop it. The Attorney General of the United Blanking States of America, Jeff Sessions, and then Barr comes in. He doesn't do anything to stop it. John Durham puts a report out. Nothing's done. Nobody has went to jail for what they perpetrated on this country. But then we get true evidence in August of 2020, while Trump's in office at the end, that the Chinese are going to do this. And Christopher Wray says we don't see any evidence of a foreign interference with the Biden election. Now, in hindsight, what happened has been for the best. In hindsight, Trump would never be as powerful tonight as he is had he got elected in 2020. So I'm not going to sit here and whine about it, but I think it's wise to at least acknowledge that you folks that thought the 2020 election was tampered with, I think we're going to find out more that there was some truth to that. I'm not saying it's why Trump lost, not totally, but in some states it was. In some states, I think that it did play a role. And let me play this last minute of this, because he's going to he's telling you what he's finding out and why, again, the Bidens basically cashed in on billions of dollars from the Chinese, and they sold our country down the toilet. God knows what the Chinese got out of the Bidens in exchange for those monies and these billions of dollars that they received, both Hunter and Joe B. himself. Roll the tape.
Of those censors who were set up by DHS, who got to use CISA's 24/7 cyber mission control to flag tweets. In those presentations, they specifically finger out a specific tweet by Donald Trump on June 22nd, and I'll read it. Rigged 2020 election. This is all caps. Rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Now, DHS's censorship network specifically cited that tweet as one of the reasons they needed to scramble to form this wide-spanning, totalizing censorship operation. And the fact that they specifically were set off by tweets by Donald Trump insinuating that foreign countries may be printing ballots or taking advantage of the mail-in ballot system in the operation that Cash just laid out, while that was the triggering tweet among several others to set up this entire censorship operation, while DHS had inside classified knowledge that that is exactly what was going down and that Donald Trump was in fact correct. So they set up the censorship operation. In part, it would seem to suggest that their knowledge of this at the senior level of DHS or at the Chris Krebs level may have been motivated in part by a desire to keep quiet these various scandals, because as China was backing the entire Biden foreign policy establishment, literally and monetarily, the idea that China would be exploiting this would be a massive, massive, massive scandal, especially on the heels of Russiagate, where that entire apparatus used all of that power and abuse of the FBI and Justice Department in order to go after foreign powers interfering in elections. That could have been a scandal that could have tipped the election. So the idea that not only would they censor it at the FBI and CIA level, but that DHS itself could be activated to censor anyone who might suggest that a foreign body like China may be exploiting the mail-in ballot system.
And they were, and we're going to find out more. The question is going to be Congress, whether anything's going to be done about it. We're going to follow this story out, and we will get some more information on this in the weeks to come, days to come. But it's a bombshell. The media is going to not talk about it a lot, but I feel like we need to. There's two links out there on Telegram, the Mac News and the McFiles channel and network, and then the Mac News Journal report, which is tied to our radio show. Please be sure to subscribe to both of them tonight. One final quick video, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. We got so much we could cover, but this is about a 4-minute clip, and then we're going to take your questions and get out of here tonight. We got so much other to talk about. We'll do it Thursday night. This is Jesse tonight on the Israel-Iran situation. Roll the tape.
Donald Trump's ordering the Iranians to surrender unconditionally. Last night he warned everybody to flee the capital, and now Tehran's a ghost town. Surgical strikes target Iranian nuclear scientists and military commanders have taken their toll. Windows have turned to powder, and the lobby of buildings are gone. Overnight, Israel continued to pummel missile and drone infrastructure in the western part of the country. Tel Aviv says they've destroyed over 120 Iranian missile launchers since Thursday. That's about 40% of their missile capacity. They also took out Iran's top general early this morning. He was only at the job for 4 days after his old boss was executed. Israel's already slaughtered 11 senior Iranian generals, but the regime is retaliating tonight with a barrage of ballistic missile strikes against the Jewish state. Our very own Trey Yingst just had to duck for cover in Tel Aviv on the 5.
Air defense systems are currently active over Tel Aviv with hundreds of thousands of people into bomb shelters at this moment. Unhook.
This was earlier tonight. This was earlier tonight.
Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
The IDF says 80 to 90% of Iran's missiles are being intercepted by the Iron Dome and by U.S. missile defense systems in the region. And they have something up their sleeve. Israel says the beeper operation will seem simple compared to what it has in store next. The Israeli ambassador is promising a number of surprises when...
The beeper thing was brilliant. I'll just as a Southerner, we were impressed by the beeper thing. Me and Karen was going to go, Eric was going to go into business with James Akers one. We may all three have went in. We were going to get terrorist-proof cell pagers. The Mac Beeper Company. That didn't work out too good.
The dust settles
I thought it was
within
good.
the next 24 hours. Netanyahu still isn't ruling out an assassination strike against the Ayatollah.
It's not going to escalate the conflict. It's going to end the conflict. We've had half a century of conflict spread by this regime that terrorizes everyone in the Middle East, has bombed the Aramco oil fields in Saudi Arabia, is spreading terrorism and subversion and sabotage everywhere. That's the forever war is what Iran wants, and they're bringing us to the brink of nuclear war.
Netanyahu says killing the Iranian leader will be the end of the conflict, but it could also be the beginning of the conflict, because the next Ayatollah could be even nastier. The White House's thinking right now is it's the Ayatollah you know versus the Ayatollah you don't know. That's not to say Trump couldn't decide to swoop in and do some gigantic action. Trump already rejected Israel's original plan for regime change, but he wants Khomeini to know that he's the one keeping him alive. Quote, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader's hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin." Trump says the Iranians missed the opportunity of a lifetime.
I told them to do the deal. They should have done the deal. Their cities have been blown to pieces. They've lost a lot of people. They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal.
Trump always wanted a deal, but Netanyahu, after October 7th, had decided he was going to strike Iran anyway, with or without the United States, regardless of whether we were negotiating. Netanyahu even asked Trump for the bunker busters, but Trump said no and was focused on signing a deal, but began to feel the Iranians were stringing us along. And after they missed their deadline and the clock ran out, he let Israel go hard the very next day. And now Trump has a big decision to make. The U.S. and Israel control the airspace over Iran. Their proxies have been gutted. Our sanctions are strangling the country, and Israel's conducting sabotage and espionage activity inside of their borders. The U.S. naval assets have surged into the region, encircling the regime in the Arabian Sea, the Gulf, and in the Mediterranean. Sources say B-52s are stationed in the Indian Ocean within striking distance of Iran. And Trump says this country cannot have a nuclear weapon.
It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Or what are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that would be permanent.
Yeah. Or giving up entirely.
Is
That's
that
okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible? Is that possible in the next 24 hours?
Why not? Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible.
Trump's orchestrating a massive pressure campaign to ensure the Iranians never get a nuke. Politico says it's the most consequential decision of his presidency. The Trump administration doesn't want to barrel into risky missions or regime changes, but they recognize there's a historic window of opportunity to solve a problem that's vexed U.S. presidents for decades: how to fully eliminate the Iranian nuclear program. Does the president authorize American pilots to fly B-2 bombers over Iran and drop a series of bunker busters on Fordow, the underground Iranian nuclear facility? Or does he let the Israeli air campaign put Khomeini under so much pressure that he crawls back to the negotiating table and signs away his nuke program peacefully? Trump met with his national security team earlier today and is carefully deliberating. The president just finished a call with Netanyahu this afternoon and is keeping all options on the table. He's considering dispatching J.D. Vance and negotiator Steve Witkoff to the region, while also getting assets in place if he decides to strike. Israel can't eliminate the Iranian nuclear threat by themselves. They have their own bunker busters, but none of them are powerful enough to pierce 300 feet deep underground. There's only one bomb for the job, and we have it. The MOP. The massive ordnance penetrator weighs 30,000 pounds. It's so heavy that it can only be lifted by an American B-2 bomber. And once it drops, it explodes horizontally and vertically. We've been working on it for 20 years. Trump tested one during his first term, and it's fully operational. We've used variations of bunker busters in the past, in the Iraq War, to destroy deep Iraqi command centers, and then in the Afghanistan War to target al-Qaeda caves. They look like this. Using bunker busters against Iran's nuke sites doesn't come without a risk. The Iranians have stated that if the United States does take offensive action against them, they'll target U.S. bases and the U.S. Navy in the region. If we decimate their nuke site, we'll take away their only leverage, and they could lash out unpredictably. A dirty bomb, suicide bombers, assassination attempts. Who knows? We'd have to deal with the consequences. The United States targeting Iran's nuclear facilities doesn't necessarily lead to regime change. It could domino into regime change, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee it. The commander-in-chief has campaigned against regime change and expensive quagmires, but in the first term, he wasn't shy about taking decisive action to eliminate threats when opportunities presented themselves, striking Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, and bombing ISIS off the map. No one in the administration is considering putting boots on the ground. That's what we think. But bunker busters against Iranian nuke sites would be a bold and dramatic escalation. J.D. Vance says whatever he decides, Trump will make the right call. Quote, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy, but I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue. And having seen this up close and personal, I can assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus.
And that is his focus, and I think J.D. Vance says it right. I do want to read you one article tonight. If you got a question, be putting it in the chat room now because we're going to wrap this up. This is out of Gateway Pundit just this evening. This story sort of circulated, and I'm going to just do it right here instead of going to another screen. This was at 4:40 this afternoon. It would have been nighttime, Iran time. But Iran issued a statement today when all this was sort of circulating about the news that America was going to maybe use this bunker bomb. And we've said this. We said it on the radio show today. Israel is going to have to. They do not have the capability to get to these nuke facilities that are underground. And folks, just take a step back for a minute and think about this. The very fact that Iran had these nuke facilities so deep underground that it takes a bunker bomb should tell you they had no intention whatsoever to ever deal honestly and to ever let go of their pursuit of nuclear weapons, because they made these facilities so hidden that they knew good and well that just a flyover by the U.S., even the flyover by a U.S. Air Force jet or Air Force forces could not get to this without sophisticated weaponry. And they never had any intention of coming clean to the world, to America, to Israel about this program. Israel is taking the fight to them, but it's at a point, it's at a crossroads. And this is what we're facing tonight. And this is why what we're talking about is so vitally important as we update you this. And we're going to have updates on the radio show tomorrow about this. But this was a statement that should catch our attention. Iran state media, it issued a terrifying warning about a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries. Now, we've not heard any breaking news as of 10:30 in the East tonight. Iranian state media reportedly issued a cryptic and terrifying warning declaring that there is a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries, according to a bombshell out of Saudi-based Azraq News. Now, this could be just blather. It could be just the Iranians threatening because what we're hearing is that their forces are being decimated by the Israelis. By the way, for all the Jew haters and for the Israel haters, for the Tucker Carlsons of the world and the Candace Owens of the world, and I would name a few other people, but I'll just leave that alone for now, that claim that we have no right as Americans to be involved in this, and this doesn't affect America, and that Israel is the aggressor again in this war. Let me remind you something tonight, folks, that Iran, there has not been one civilian death that Iran can say that was caused by a direct Israeli hit. Israel has targeted military facilities. That's the only bombs that Israel has dropped. They've not dropped any bomb on any Iranian city. It's all been in these nuke facilities. And the deaths have come as a result of the people around those facilities. Every attack that Iran has launched against Israel tonight, folks, has gone against civilian targets in Haifa, in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in other cities around Israel where they know there are the greatest populations and the least security and safety. That's the difference in Iran and Israel. But they're saying this tonight, that the details remain scarce, but the ominous tone from Tehran signals a potential escalation that could dwarf anything we've seen before. This is out of the Gateway Pundit. The provocative warning follows President Trump's bold demand for an unconditional surrender, which he told today, basically labeling Ayatollah Khamenei an easy target. And they've pinpointed his location, but they're holding fire for now. And Trump basically, we read this tweet yesterday. I do want to read one statement tonight, and we've not talked about this, and I wish we had more time, but we're out of time tonight. This is the ambassador, Mike Huckabee. He sent this out, and President Trump tweeted this. I know if you're on your phone, you're not going to be able to see this well, so I'll read it for you. If you go to President Trump's True Social page, you'll see it. And if you go to our McFiles Telegram room, you'll see it. Huckabee sent this message to Trump today, and he said, Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice. I am your appointed servant in this land and am available for you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945, and he's referring to the decision by Truman to drop those atomic bombs on Hiroshima, Japan, and Nagasaki that changed the course of not just the World War II, but it really changed the course of the nuclear age. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you, Mike Huckabee. And I want to echo something that J.D. Vance said tonight that you heard. I saw the tweet. There's another story we've not even talked about tonight, and Tulsi Gabbard's in the middle of it, and she had made some comments back in March that claimed that Iran didn't have the capacity to further their nuclear program, and Trump was asked about that today, and he basically said point blank, I don't care what she said, they were close to a bomb. There may be a little developing rift between his national security head and Trump. We'll see about that. But J.D. Vance said it beautifully tonight, folks. I think Trump has earned our trust. I trust President Trump's instincts. He's walking a very fine line. It's not an easy line. Eric, I think, outlined it beautifully last night. I don't think any of us would envy his position where he's at right now. To do this quickly and to do this wrongly could plunge America into a Middle East conflict that we do not want to get involved in. We just don't. But it's getting more clear to me by the day that I think that the chances of us ultimately having to step into this is growing. And that's going to mean greater danger on our homeland. It is going to be greater danger to our boys overseas and our girls. It's going to be a greater danger to sons like mine. Caleb, he's in his 20s. Eric Karen's boys in the military. It's going to be a possible draft. It would be required to bring people into the armed forces right now to get our kids involved in this, and it scares the you-know-what out of me to even think about that. But this is the world that we're living in tonight. It's not the world that is, or the world we want it to be. It's the world that is, and we need to pray like we've never prayed before for President Trump. We need to pray for wisdom, and we need to pray for him tonight, and pray for our nation. I think Mike Huckabee said it beautifully. The only voice that matters tonight that Donald Trump needs to hear, it's not that faith advisory board. It's not his generals. It's not his cabinet. It's God. It's God. And I pray God speaks to his heart to make the right call. And I pray that God helps de-escalate this event, because this is not something that the world wants. I firmly support what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. He has taken undue criticism on social media and being called every name in the book like he always is. And it's like Mike said tonight, Israel is like the police officer of the world. Everything the police does to keep law and order, they're criticized for. And then when law and order ain't kept, the police are blamed for it. When law and order is kept, the police are blamed for it. If Israel sits by and doesn't let Iran get the bomb and goes in and does what they're doing, they're criticized. If Israel sits back and Iran gets 9 nukes and starts holding the Middle East and the world hostage, and people would scream, well, why didn't Israel do something? Why didn't the Americans do something about it? That's just the ugliness of politics and the ugliness of this world tonight. German's Merck said that Israel's doing the world's dirty job or dirty work for it. And he said out loud what is really the truth. Israel is doing things the other nations of this world should be doing. We should be confronting Iran. Europe should have been confronting Iran. The Middle East should be confronting Iran. It's one reason you don't see any condemnation coming from Saudi Arabia or Jordan tonight. They're telling Israel you can use our airspace. I told the Bible students this morning, before I left, we talked about Persia in the Bible. And I told the Bible students, I said, you watch Iraq, because we're watching Iran, but watch Iraq, because Iraq is in Bible prophecy. And listen to me, this afternoon, 5 minutes after I got off the Bible study, pulled up the news for the day. First story out of Gateway Pundit was Iraq's complaining to the UN tonight that Israel's using this airspace to carry out these bombings. And they are threatening Israel over it tonight, and they could possibly get drawn into this conflict. The enemy of my enemy becomes my friend. Iran and Iraq have been bitter enemies for centuries, decades, I should say. And now they've got a common enemy, and that's the Jewish people, and that's Israel. And now they're all of a sudden buddy-buddy. When they fought a war with each other back in the 80s that liked to destroy Iran, Iraq, Saddam Hussein gassed Iran and to oblivion, and at that time America sided with Iraq because the Iranians had been one of our greatest enemies under Reagan, and it's just the political webs we weave, and they come back to bite us. What I'm saying to you tonight as I close, this is a precarious situation in the Middle East. It is not one for non-serious people. If you believe in your country tonight and you love your country, this is what you should be focused on praying about. This other crap that we've got our attention on tonight is just crap. And Iran's not a distraction, folks. It's a very fine line that we're walking and weaving. And President Trump needs the wisdom of Solomon to figure out what to do, because to do something is going to create an effect. To sit back and do nothing will create an effect too. There's no easy answers. And I can't tell you what's the right answer because I think a lot of it needs to play out between Israel and Iran first. But I tell you this, if we are attacked as a nation in any way, shape, form, or fashion, he is going to have to do something. He is going to have to do something. Gabbard also said that Iran had high levels of weapons-grade uranium stockpiles, Cleo. That's right, which they didn't previously had, but media didn't report that. I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about that Thursday night because CNN's Caitlin Collins, who is a complete hack, and I was going to use another bad word tonight, but let's just say that, as Jeannie Castellanova says, some New Yorkers are their knives are not the sharpest in the drawer. Well, Caitlin Collins' brain is not the sharpest in the room, but she tried to get Trump to go after Gabbard, and Cleo is absolutely right. She did tell the intelligence agency, the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, that they had increased uranium, and it was portrayed in the media today that she basically was saying in March that Iran was not a threat, and that is not what Tulsi Gabbard said. And the media is trying to stir a division up. And folks, this is what we're up against. And this is why I'm very concerned about what's going on in the Middle East tonight. It's not good. It's brewing. And all of this, be joining us in the morning. We talked about Persia in the Bible, and we'll probably talk about it again. I want to welcome our personal Facebook page audience. I don't normally broadcast our show on our live Facebook page, but we do our personal tonight. We've done this morning and tonight. Join us over on our McFiles page on Facebook and also our YouTube channel. And we'd love to have you each night. We hope you've enjoyed the shows this morning and tonight. I got a lot more to say. We got a lot more video, but we're out of time. Listen, God bless you tonight. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. I want to just wish a happy birthday to Miss Susan Pruski. I see her in the audience, and she's one of our regulars in the Bible study. Happy birthday today, friend. I pray God's richest blessing on you and your family, and may the Lord bless you, and so forth. And we thank you for being with us tonight. Prayers for wisdom. Lynn, you asked, can you imagine if Kamala had won and had to make these decisions? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for your mercy. I couldn't have said it better, friend. I was just thinking about that. We could be talking about Kamala having to make this decision tonight. This is not going without notice. Trust me. And I think most reasonably thinking people have understood this. And thank God it's Trump. But folks, it's a daunting task what he's up against. It's a daunting choice. The crossroads in this, there's no good answer. There's just no good answer. And I think we better come to grips with the fact that we're dealing with an enemy that is, it's a spirit. There's a spirit over this nation of Iran, and it's Islam. It's this, it's one of the most destructive, jihadist, evil entities that you will ever know, and it is a tremendous attack. It's a weapon the enemy is using to deceive billions of people, yes, but it's also a violent entity, and it wants to bathe the world in blood. And Iran, I think, is salivating at that. The devil is definitely salivating at it. I appreciate what Mike Huckabee said. The only voice that Trump needs to listen to tonight is God. And I couldn't amen that more. And I respect Mike Huckabee, and I appreciate his service to our nation tonight. God bless you. God bless your families. Any questions, McFiles Forum? Now listen, Wednesday is normally Faith Night, and we're going to have Faith Show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I normally don't come on the news side on Wednesday. But in the event that I see things warrant a show tomorrow night, we may be on early in the afternoon after the radio show for a news show. And then Thursday night, we'll be back with James Akers. Magdalene Rose will be with me. Friday night, we'll have a show, and we'll play some video we didn't get to tonight. The news will still be going then, and we'll start all this back over next week, folks. Listen, please pray for your country. Pray for President Trump. May the Lord bless you all. And I just want to say again, thank you all. And your financial support, folks, is so needed right now. If you'd like to donate to the show, Listen, the news side is just as much in need as the face side is, and to keep the network going. And it's summertime, and we could use your donations. If you enjoy the podcast and would like to help keep the show going, please remember us in your giving to McFiles.org, and there's ways to give. I'm sure that's being put out there in the chat room tonight. And please help us if you can, and we thank you for that. I'll see you tomorrow night on the Faith Network. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon on the radio show. We'll talk about this. And then in the morning, we'll be back on the Spirit and Word Study Hour that we do every morning. And we do it in an hour around 9:45 or 10, somewhere in that time frame. So listen, God bless you all out there tonight. Be safe. Pray for your country. Pray for each other. Be safe. Keep alert of things. Be sober. And thanks to Mike Simonelli. Wasn't he good tonight? Put some fire in that house for him. And may the Lord bless you all tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow, folks. Very, very troublesome times. Very troublesome times and concerning times. We're in the last days. We're in the last days. Be blessed out there and be safe. Good night, everybody.